This Taiwanese hunter named
养乐多多
is blowing up the charts on DPS meters so hard it is making me question which one is the real China. So let's check this guy out and take his knowledge the same way that Chiang Kai-shek took a random island in the form of a potato chip. Neat. These are his logs, and as you can see right here on these funny letters, it says that most of the damage that he's doing is from his pet, 43% to be exact. And he is using a wind serpent for it, because as you know, the scorpion got nerfed to hell. Wind serpent is traditionally the highest DPS pet in vanilla proper, so unless something big changes, maybe like a new special rune comes out, something like that, wind serpent is probably gonna stay the best pet in PVE forever. So yeah, you should probably get one right now. Another thing you gotta see about this build is that he's using his runes to melee with a lot of damage. You see Raptor Strike here, you see melee swings right here, and this is the big one, Flanking Strike. You're gonna see in a minute. About 31% of his damage is from melee sources, and that will make a lot more sense when we look at his runes. He is taking Beast Mastery to get more pet damage, and the reason that he's want to focus so much on pet damage is because of this rune right here, Flanking Strike. Flanking Strike is an instant attack that you and your pet do at the same time. And this is very important because, as you know, when you get a Wind Serpent, which is the highest DPS pet, you cannot really take Kill Command. You cannot take it because that buffs Bite and the other ability. The Wind Serpent doesn't have abilities that benefit from it, so you gotta go Flanking Strike to take advantage of that. Another really cool thing about Flanking Strike is that Raptor Strike can reset the cooldown, so that's why you see so much melee weaving. Not only because it is more damage, but because you actually can get another Flanking Strike, which is your big boom boom. And then lastly, he's taking Master Marksman. It does affect melee crit too. So this says Marksman, but it affects both ranged and melee. I bet he just takes it because he cannot find anything else that fits better. It's just crit. He's so committed to melee weaving that he's taking Deadly Strike of the Hydra just for that. As you know, if you are ranged, your best weapon is the Guardian's Trident because it has agility, which is something you benefit from as a hunter, but this is just melee damage, flat melee damage. You can see in some of the fights, he will swap from this Trident to the Deadly Strike when there's like a part where he has to move or something like that, just to make sure he gets like that tiny bit more damage in the fight. That's too much sweating for me. Honestly, I do not recommend it, but if you wanna be a 99.9% parser like this guy, that's what you're gonna have to do. Now, his talents are kind of the same as every Beast Mastery build you've seen right now. He's taking aspect of the Hawk because he has another hunter in his raid. You can see right here, right there, he has another hunter giving him aspect of the Lion, so he doesn't need any of that. He can use this aspect for a little more damage. And then he is taking Thick Hide over here and improved Revive Pet. Why? Because this is a suspicion on me. Gamura randomly claps pets and also does, what's the name of Kelris. So yeah, it does help a little to revive it faster. The other talents here are pretty useless anyway. Then he's taking, and this is why he's going Beast Mastery, Unleash Fury for a total of 20% more pet damage. That is huge. When your pet is 43% of your damage, you bet your butt you want 20% more on that. And of course he's taking 1 point in Ferocity for crit. As you can see, he is stacking as many pet damage bonuses as possible. That is why he is melee weaving too, because as you can imagine, when you are melee weaving for that Flanking Strike, it is worth it because most of your damage is from your pet to just sacrifice a few auto shots to make sure that your Flanking Strike comes auto cooldown very fast. That is not the most groundbreaking thing we have seen yet so far. That's pretty standard, pretty similar to the Scorpion build we all know, but the rotation itself is pretty different. You first drop Serpent Sting, that's your dot, you gotta keep it up at all times, then you auto shoot, then one multi-shot, then another auto shoot. What you're gonna do with that is that you're gonna whip your multi-shot in between auto shoots so you don't lose any damage, and as soon as you do that, then you go right into melee range, you Flanking Strike into Raptor Strike. You always are waiting for maybe you get a lucky reset of the Raptor Strike to do another Flanking Strike, and if that doesn't happen, you just go back to range. From then on, it's basically rinse and repeat, but you gotta do 2 cycles. You're gonna do auto shoot, multi-shot, auto shoot, and then the multi-shot is gonna be on cooldown, so you can weave in an auto attack on melee and then go back to auto shoot, or just you don't, you can also just do that. And then you just run back for another auto shoot. A perfect rotation would be something like auto shot, multi-shot, auto shoot, flanking strike, raptor strike, go back to range, auto shoot, go back to melee, auto attack, go back to range, auto shoot, and then you go back for another raptor strike. It is outrageously complex. I'm gonna do like a little flowchart for you in the, maybe at the top. Yeah, this guy is sweating to the maximum. You definitely do not have to melee whip for those few little damage. It's not a huge deal, but once again, this guy is 99.9. If you wanna be at the top, you gotta do this kind of stuff. What you gotta take away from this is that you wanna do Raptor Strike on cooldown to get the flanking strike as soon as possible, because flanking strike is a huge part of your damage. Ideally, because of that, you want a very slow bow. The slower the better, because that makes it a lot easier, a lot more efficient to go right in, walk into melee, hit, and then go back into range. There is less lost time. Fights like Gamura or Gelihast, where you are forced to move, they are a test of skill. Personally, I think I couldn't pull this off. Honestly, it looks like such a sweat fest. But if you are perfect at your timing, if you know how to move very well, maybe you're a very experienced PvPer, you can take on the best classes in the game for their money. And that's, I think, really cool. Your stats priority changes a little bit because, of course, one of your most important stats now is melee weapon damage. You want the strongest melee weapon you can get. The slower the weapon, the better, because once again, you are not gonna be auto-attacking on cooldown, you're gonna be moving in and out. Agility will remain your best in slot stat because it benefits a lot, and even though you do not get attack power for melee with agility, you do get crit, which is very important too. Of course, you want to take as much hit as you can get from the BFD set and the leatherworking gloves. And strength is probably not gonna be that good, I would say. One strength is about 2 points of agility, but it does matter now because you actually get damage from it now. I would say 3 or 4 points of attack power are as good as one agility too. And spirit, you never go for it, but it does help, you know, mana generation is a thing. Basically, all the gear that was traditionally good for the hunter is still good for you now, and you may be willing to take a couple more rogue pieces to get a little more melee damage, but it is not a priority yet. This is still pretty impressive, honestly, because how much tryharding can turn one of the easiest classes in the game to one of the most complicated classes in the game is something that is kinda hard to grasp. I don't know about you, but I am just gonna boom boom on my warrior, screw that. By the way, if any of you guys know who this guy
养乐多多
if he streams on anything, I would love to shout him out, but I couldn't find him anywhere. He's like a parsing ghost. He just disappears after raid. Subscribe, leave a like, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.